I'm gonna mute.
But the senator, while indoctrinated, could not explain his toxicity.
Don't listen to men's rights activists if you want to know what they have to say.
Don't listen to men's rights activists if you want to know what they have to say. Don't listen to men's rights activists if you want to know what they have to say.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Breaking Badger News, breaking-ish. Some of the news is not super new. My name is Brian. I'm here with Alison. Lindsay is not available today. She's she's got back problems. B, she has to walk dogs anyway. So we are going to get right into it. We got two stories, one of which you guys may have heard of that's been going around as of last night. So if you don't know, because I didn't know, last night was the Golden Globes. Now, when I was a kid, I remember that the Golden Globes was like a big deal. Like we'd all watch, sit around the TV and watch it. Now I forget when that the award shows even happen. But the reason why this is noteworthy is because comedian Ricky Gervais, who you guys might know from shows such as The Office, and one of my personal favorites is a show called Extras, which is like a British show you may not have heard of. If you haven't, you should check it out. And he got to be the host, I guess, of this year's Golden Globes. And it's also his last year doing it. So I guess he's been doing it for a little while. And this is his last year. And being is his last year, he said a couple of really great things in his opening monologues. Now, I'm not going to be able to play any of the clips because I saw that when other people were trying to play clips from his show, the Dick Clark company that owns the award shows, they took him down freaking quick. So I'm just gonna read the quotes. How's that?
Can you do it in his voice?
No, I can't do his voice. If you know what, Dr. Randermcam probably could do a good Ricky Gervais.
Can you do a voice, any kind of voice? Can you read them in any kind of voice?
I mean, I could try. I'll try something. Sure. Okay.
Sure,
So.
okay.
First, let me see if I can find, oh yeah, here we go. Okay, here we go. So he said, oh yeah, here we are. Nobody cares about movies anymore. No one goes to the cinema. No one really watches network TV. Everyone's watching Netflix. This show could just be me coming out going, well done, Netflix, you win everything. But no, we've got to drag it out for 3 hours. You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That, by the way, is a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Season 2 is on the way, and so in the end, because we know there's another season coming, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. And of course, when the crowd starts, they get a little bit, yes, they get a little bit weird about that. And he says, I know they're your friends. He says, I know that Jeffrey Epstein was your friend, but come on, it's just jokes, something to that effect. But the best bit, I thought that was great that he dropped a, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself joke on like national television at an award show. Mwah, beautiful. But better than that, let me see if I can find it. Yes, he talks about how woke everybody is. Let me see if I can find, is it in the swing and a miss? So he says,
Are we doing some Jeopardy music here?
No, it's just, this quote doesn't, this site doesn't have the best quote for it, but it's like it doesn't have the whole thing, but I'll give you the short version. Essentially, he talks about how there are shows that are going to win awards for supposedly speaking truth to power, but they're owned by companies that use sweatshops in China. And he says, I know that you're trying to be woke, but Yeah, here it is. Apple roared into the TV game with the morning show, a super drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, made by a company that runs sweatshops in China. You say you're woke, but the companies you work for, it's unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent. Now, again, the audience response, which is all like, you know, movie stars, they were actually kind of like, it was confused. It wasn't exactly excited or happy, but it was confused. And then he says,
This is his last year, right?
yeah, this is it. He says, this is the last
Yeah,
time I'm hosting these awards. I don't care anymore.
This is basically, this sounds like a man on his last day of work.
Yeah, fuck you,
setting
fuck you,
fire.
fuck you. You're cool.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
He sets fire to his boss's office or something.
Yeah.
Never coming back.
And he says, yeah, I'm joking. I never did. He never cared, that is. NBC clearly don't care either. Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars because of some offensive tweets. Lucky for me, the Hollywood Foreign Press can barely speak English, and they've no idea what Twitter is. And he says, so this is his last thing, okay? He says, so if you win an award tonight, if you do win, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech. You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So if you win, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off.
Oh, that's what he. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's what he said.
That man has so much edge.
That's right. He is an absolute mad lad. That was, he absolutely did it. Now, I mean, you know, he's still an asshole, but I really appreciate this because I think that Ricky Gervais is one of the few people that like are relatively high profile that have been openly against political correctness, especially in comedy, being that he's a comedian. And he's been vocal for a while on Twitter. So the fact that he actually still had, you know, the job of hosting this award show should tell you. And the best part is people don't tend to pay attention to the Golden Globes. Like, it's not a huge thing compared to the Oscars. But I have a feeling that the news buzz around his, you know, his hosting and all the shit that he said will probably inspire, I would hope, the Oscars to take a similar approach. I'm sorry. But again, it's not huge news, but definitely funny, and you know, it's I thought it was pretty cool to see.
Okay, I just want to point something out here.
Mm-hmm.
You said you would use a voice, and then you used your own voice. Yeah, I know. You said you would do something, and then you didn't do it.
I couldn't.
You told me.
I lied. I lied.
I know you lied.
I'm not feeling very confident in doing something even similar to a Ricky Gervais. I'm not even sure where to start with that.
Aw. I guess I shouldn't have asked.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Well. Okay, let's go to the next thing.
So lastly, so now that he said all that, he's essentially said that some of the people in the audience are probably pedophiles because of the whole Jeffrey Epstein association. So will Ricky Gervais ever return to doing anything ever, or is he going to suicide himself? Well, only time will tell. So
only time will tell. So
yeah.
Did anybody use the opportunity of getting an award to pontificate on their how they're more moral than everybody else?
Well, I didn't watch the Golden Globes, but I did hear that there was an actress, and I guess the only thing I heard about was there was an actress that won an award for something that's basically said that she would have won another award for another film. No, I know what it was. She won an award for something, and she thanked the idea that she had gotten an abortion, which allowed her to work on that film so that she could win that award. So she credited her abortion to winning the award, essentially. And I guess that was, and nobody liked that at all. So it didn't go over well. I don't remember. I think it was Michelle Williams. It was Michelle Williams, yeah. So she won for something, but that's about it. I mean...
And social justice gets us to all take a few more steps towards becoming reptilian people. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, awesome for Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
Dropping those edge bombs.
This is the new deal with it. Deal with it 2020. Okay. So let's move on to the next story. This one is, I would say, it's definitely more juicy, but unconfirmed. To be fair, unconfirmed, absolutely, but it's highly likely that it's true. So, do you remember this guy from the Red Pill? I'll play this clip.
Oh.
But a movement of the superordinate is a little bit difficult.
He's talking about the men's movement.
A little bit different.
The superordinate.
We don't have movements called, straight liberation. The question I would pose rhetorically is the men's rights movement really the gender version of the white nationalist movement?
All right. So this guy is Michael Kimmel, and he is he claims to be I guess a professor of masculinities. Okay, Dr. Michael Kimmel. He's written several books, such as The Gendered Society, Manhood in America, A Cultural History, Sexualities, Angry White Men, I think, is one that he's known well for. That's American Masculinity at the End of an Era. Guyland, The Perilous World Where Boys Become Men. Sociology Now, Census Update. Okay, well, he's probably just in that. But basically, Michael Kimmel is a male feminist that claims to be a masculinities professor. So he is one of the people that is like Jackson Katz and Michael Messner, which are essentially feminist versions of men's advocates, but what they advocate for is for men to be, more like women, to be less like themselves. They talk about toxic masculinity, etc. So he's basically cancer. And he has been Me Too'd, I think, in 2018. We actually did a story about it on the show. I believe he was Me Too'd either in 2018 or 2019. And nothing came out of it. There were just accusations levied against him by students in his university that supposedly he was inappropriate with them, blah, blah, blah. Nothing confirmed. I defended him back then and the right to, due process.
His rights
Yeah,
as
his
a
rights.
superordinate majority?
Yes.
Are those rights that we don't have to defend?
Weird that I wouldn't say men aren't even in a majority. Women are, but whatever. But yeah, I defended his right to due process back then. However, that didn't stop the woke brigade that work in his industry, academia, specifically the humanities, on top of that, to essentially get him to retire. So here's a Twitter called Expose Prof, which currently is running with the name Expose Professor Michael Kimmel. And they wrote the following: Michael Kimmel has retired. They put in quotes. It's a form of justice and better than nothing. RE accountability. Perhaps diminished power will be helpful. Many, many women work tirelessly to seek a just outcome, doing so on behalf of people harmed. Cleaning up the damages of a male feminist, put in quotes, because apparently they don't really think he is one, is a terrible form of uncompensated labor. And then there is this tweet by Helena Darwin, which is how I learned about it. Helena Darwin is herself a professor of humanities, and she writes, Michael Kimmel finally retired. This was a team effort, y'all. We did it. Holy shit. Hashtag academic Twitter, hashtag academic chatter, at academic chatter, hashtag sociology, at expose prof. I did ask for evidence of this. You can see my tweet there. Is there any evidence of this? I'm looking for something concrete to confirm. No one said anything to me, but apparently this is what they're saying. Now, if you go to I went to Michael Kimmel's entry here at the University of Stony Brook, and it still has his profile. It doesn't mention anything about retiring specifically, but I'm not sure if he's still there or what. I also went to his website, michaelkimmel.com, to find out. There's nothing here except, where can you buy my books and where can you book me for a speaking arrangement. So I know he was Me Too'd, and there are feminists celebrating his retirement. Basically, the mob got to him. So I take it with a grain of salt, but I'm basically in the camp that says, yeah, he probably got retired. He's probably ashamed to mention the retirement, but... Alison, what are your thoughts?
There are a few details that I could probably add. Michael Kimmel, when I looked up information on retirement, It says that he actually did retire from the board of Promundo, an
Mm,
initiative that promotes gender justice by engaging men and boys, and essentially that means it's a witch hunt, uh,
mm,
attempting to implicate their masculinity as responsible for violence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he retired from or resigned from the board of that, and it was in result is as a result of being accused of sexual harassment. Now, once again, it seems like was there any due process before he was pushed into resigning from this board? Uh, it sounds like no. So essentially, this is a situation. I could be corrected and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong in which a woman's accusation led to a man resigning from a position that he held. In which case, really, the question becomes how much more power do women need to have? And how much more should their word be, like, how much damage should their word be allowed to do before it's in any way held to a standard of accountability, of due process, of evidence?
mm-hmm,
Or are we just careening towards a world in which a woman can remove a man from any position at any time, whenever she wants, get him and not even get him thrown in jail, but just remove him from position. And I noticed that the Me Too campaigners are also looking into. They feel like it's an injustice that rich men their assets aren't seized when at an accusation. So
yeah,
when are the laws going to come about that if a woman levies an accusation, a man is removed from his job, his positions, his assets are seized and given to her,
mm-hmm,
and because there's a similar law in Saskatchewan where I'm from. If a woman accuses a man of domestic violence, he is removed from the house. The house is given to her, and his assets are seized. So it seems like it's only like a hop, skip, and a jump away from these accusers, Michael Kimmel's accusers, not just getting him to resign from his jobs, from all of his posts, get him socially ostracized and removed from public life, but also have his assets seized and perhaps partitioned, uh, broken up between them based on the severity of whatever they allege he's done. And all of this with no due process, no expectation that it be held to any standard of accountability at all. So these are really sweeping. In fact, you could almost call them. Do we want to go so far as saying godlike powers, or
it's well, that might be. No, I mean we're
well,
getting there. There's
getting
definitely
there?
like
I
a
mean, because
level
I don't
of
even think aristocrats had this kind of powers.
yeah,
So, I mean, we're starting to get into god priestess territory for women, and that's any woman. So
mm-hmm,
we're about getting to the point where over half of the citizens of the West can destroy the other minority's life and get them completely removed from the jobs that they're doing. Oh, and isn't that, it's a little bit of a dangerous proposition since the half that they can destroy is the half that is in general responsible for the running of our society. So it's like watching a society set up a situation where it's giving bazookas and saying, "Yeah, have at destroy the mechanic machinery of society at will. Just blow it apart, and we'll see how long this lasts."
mm-hmm,
And it's like it's just it is amazing. And I actually feel for Michael Kimmel because there's no reason to believe that he did anything. If there was no due process, that the evidence wasn't there, or if it wasn't properly adjudicated to come to a decision. And
mm-hmm.
even then, you should read the court transcripts for yourself to make the decision whether or not you think he's guilty. But at least you have a court transcript to read. We don't even have that. So as
Nope.
far as I'm concerned, there's no reason to believe he's guilty. So this is a man who's been hounded out of a position that he obviously wanted to have and may have been forced to retire from his job because of these accusations based on nothing. Now, I mean, everybody who's listening is like, oh, but he, a man box, oh, men's rights activists. What are they for? Well, this situation, Dr. Kimmel, this is the situation that we fight against. This shouldn't
Yeah.
happen to you without evidence, without due process, without someone being able to download and look at a court transcript that came to a conclusion that this should happen to you. At least that. That just shouldn't have happened to you.
No, it shouldn't
And
have. But
this is
he did contribute to the environment that allowed this to happen to him. He was basically like behind the idea, believe all women and all of that. It was just like Justin Trudeau did, just like so many other male feminists have in the past, where they said you have to believe women. I stand with these women because if they make the accusation, there must be something to it. And how can you shame the victims? And then the gun gets turned on them. And they get shot,
inevitably.
and even then, I think that a lot of the time they think, well, most of the time we should still believe them. I think that in my case, it's just like, it's either an exception or, oh, maybe I did something and I didn't know I was doing something, so I kind of deserve it. It's like when you have this amount of male guilt, this to this level. I don't know what Michael Kimmel's response was. I think he said something like, I didn't mean to hurt anybody, and I'm sorry if she felt that way, but I don't know what she's talking about. Something along those lines, which is basically validating what she says, and this is why he's in this position.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, is the the fact that he's been sort of hoisted on his own petard. Well, it still is unfortunate. And I Godspeed to you, Michael Kimmel. I hope you take care of yourself during this time, and make sure to practice self-care, because I'd imagine this is incredibly depressing. And being forced out of something that you want to do, being forced out of something is an awful shock. That's something that I've experienced. And I've experienced it at the hands of feminists, just like Michael Kimmel has experienced it at the hands of feminists.
Mm-hmm.
And for not for similar reasons, because it was never alleged that I did sexual harassment, but harassment. And it's a very painful thing to go through. So I hope that he reflects on where this came from, why it is in existence, why it happened to him, and maybe he'll start making connections to why exactly we attempt to uphold men's right to due process. I'm not really holding my breath, but good
Yeah.
luck to him.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm with that. I actually hope that it is a false accusation, because I think that's the only way he's gonna perhaps like learn something from this experience. I mean, if it's real, then what happened probably should have happened. Or not. I mean, we have another system for this, so I wouldn't even say that. Even if it's true, I think we should have followed through the way that you normally do. And I think the idea that the fact that they just asked him to step down and nobody actually tried to follow up with legal recourse suggests to me that it isn't true. Because if it is, then you try to put them in jail so they don't hurt anybody else. But if you know what I'm saying, like if you just make an accusation
Yeah.
of sexual harassment or sexual assault or whatever it is that you're trying to do, I know you can't get anybody arrested for sexual harassment, but you certainly can get them fired. But like the fact that this didn't go further than that suggests to me that there probably isn't a lot of evidence for it. And it was Title IX that got him, by the way. It was Title IX courts that were used against him. Again, another red pill waiting for him to take it. So it would be interesting if he actually ended up getting red pill from all this and realized that
Okay,
there is a
here's a question.
problem. Yeah.
So he went to Title IX, and college tribunal or whatever they do, and it was discovered that he actually did this.
No, they didn't discover it. It was through the Title IX that this whole thing was conducted. So it was through the college courts, I guess. And we don't know the details at the front end. I mean, I just have like these comments from these professors on Twitter, these feminist professors, these females, and they're basically saying that he was made to resign by them, by their work. So essentially, what they did was they got him to quit. And I guess that to them is justice.
Well, I'm looking at another article on this. So, what's really interesting to me is the article, and it's a feminist article, of course, and it says basically that there are these allegations, and of course, it assumes an allegation is true, is a conviction.
Yeah.
And it's bemoaning the fact that why is it that women can't get justice? Why is this white patriarchal male dominated society? Why can't we just immediately point the finger and destroy a man? Why do we have to deal with due process? I'm always struck by how similar this is to the same sentiments of white supremacists in the old South, who's basically said any kind of due process that was afforded black men accused of sexual crime was an evidence that they were privileged in society. So anything that didn't immediately go from a white woman's accusation to a man dead was evidence of that man's privilege in society. And it seems like this is a repetition of that very logic. But that be it what it may, like I said, good luck to you, Michael Kimmel. And I can't. I've done a search. I cannot see if this actually came to some kind of decision.
Yeah.
In the comments, if you can find something that explains what kind of decision came to, and if we can access the court transcripts, because once again, even when a court comes to a decision, you really should wait till you can read the transcripts and look at the evidence yourself to come to your own conclusion, because there are plenty of miscarriages of justice in the world by the courts. So,
Hmm.
if anybody can give us some kind of conclusion to the accusations against Michael Kimmel, including some documents that people can look at to come to their own conclusions, that would be really appreciated in the comments below.
Yeah, let
All
us
right.
know. It's been pretty much very, very hush hush, except for, like I said, those feminist professors on Twitter. I couldn't find anything else, and I was looking all morning. So let us look at a couple super chats, and then we're gonna close it out because we got a couple. So Mr. Roboto gives us $5 and says, "Why do you suppose so many male feminists get me too'd and or shamed out of the movement? At this point, it's just standard of the day, or seems to be.
Why do they do? Because
They're still
why?
men."
Yeah, are you surprised? They're basically in ground. They're basically the radioactive. They're basically the nuclear technicians in Chernobyl. Why are they dying of radiation? Because they're in ground zero.
Hmm.
I mean, I mean, some of them are predators. I know that there is an attraction for predatory men to this kind of an ideology that essentially absolves them of responsibility for their behavior
Yeah,
and
and
just sort
they,
of
and they
smears it
believe it
around on all
gains.
men.
Yeah, and they believe it gains them favor with women. At least gets them
Yeah.
closer to women, and specifically a lot of damaged women too.
Yeah, but to be quite frank, I think a lot of the accusations are and they have turned out to be either incredibly like that's not sexual harassment, it is not sexual assault, it is a misunderstanding.
Hmm.
Like Degrassi lifting the woman's sleeve to look at her
Oh, Neil
tattoo.
deGrasse Tyson, when he yeah, he wanted to look at the woman's sleeve
Yeah,
tattoo.
that's just social awkwardness. She's
Yeah.
not attempting to rape your shoulder.
Well, either that
Um,
or it was completely innocent in that moment, but then she decided later on to use it against him because Me Too gives women a great deal of fame and power and money.
mm,
So, because
yeah,
it was
for
after the
playing the
Me
victim.
Too movement that happened, and they saw how much attention these women were getting, and they were getting put on the cover of Time magazine, and they were getting on television, they were doing interviews. So, why wouldn't any woman, if she thought she could get something out of it, if she wants to, why couldn't she come forward and accuse a famous person if she like had an interaction with them that she could leverage in her favor? I mean,
Well, I mean, if she's an ethical woman, of course she's not going to do that. But if she
no.
has she's like borderline personality disorder, it's an attractive proposition to get that attention, or narcissism,
Hmm.
or as antisocial personality disorder, which is massively underdiagnosed in women. But yeah, so it's like sometimes it's just something that really should have never become like it should just be a word. No, you're making me uncomfortable, and then move on. And sometimes it's something that the man did absolutely nothing, and I think that's probably the majority of the cases when male feminists are accused. But the reason why many of them are accused is because they live in ground zero for the nuclear radiation.
Hmm.
So it's why they're the ones
That's pretty
dropping like
much it.
flies.
That's the answer to that question. And then
So
the
as a
other,
man,
yeah,
consider very carefully the female company that you keep. Just
yes.
saying.
Mr. Roboto gives us another $2 and says, "What is overall opinion of Trudeau? Love or hate him?" I don't hate the guy or love the guy personally. I don't do that with people I don't know. It's either I like their ideas or I don't like their ideas, and I don't like his ideas, so that's it. But I don't care about him as a person.
I think he's an unethical politician. I think he pressured Jody Wilson-Raybould. I think that's obvious that he did, and he did so because of corporate interests. But Canada's a corpocracy, Essentially, they should put in over their court, instead of saying nobody has the right to do wrong, but they have the right to be wrong. They should put, whichever person has the bigger bank account will win. So let's save each other. Let's save everybody time. Just lay out your financials. If you have a conflict, the defendant lays out their financials. The prosecution, or oh goodness, defendant and the, why am I blanking on the word? I apologize, guys. English is not my first language. My first language is cat, but the defendant and the, well, anyway, the two parties just lay out your financials, and whichever of the two parties has the best balance sheet or controls the most assets, that's the one that wins. And really, Canada could totally get rid of its backlog of all kinds of court cases if it just was honest to its actual principles. But unfortunately, we're not. I mean, even when the prime minister basically acts in a completely illegal way, no, it's fine. It's fine. Although I think what Trudeau can do when he's finally ousted is write a book for the average everyman, how to get away with blackface and sexual assault. Because, I mean, to be quite frank, he has, and nobody seems to care.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe he could call it acceptable sexual assault and racism. My story. Oh God.
There you
Anyway.
go. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm gonna say, I think that's it. We're done. No, all the super chats are done. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Roboto, and thank you for the donations. They are very much appreciated. So with that said, we're going to wrap up this episode. So I want you guys to let us know what you think about these stories. Did you see the Ricky Gervais clips? Did you know about this thing with Michael Kimmel? Maybe you have some additional info you can pass along. Let us know in the comments section. I look forward to reading them. In the meantime, we're going to wrap up this episode of Breaking Badger. I want to thank you guys for coming on. Please hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. And again, leave us a comment. With that said, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.